We got Fairy Tale early this week, or I guess late this week because it was supposed to come out Friday, but whatever. So this chapter, first of all, we get mentions and the big bombshell drops that the dragons that's supposed to have taken over in the other timeline, it wasn't dragons, it was one dragon, the Acnologia, and that shit got me hype. I'm like, yo, you can clearly see that each one of these dragons do not have the power of Acnologia. The problem with the dragons and fighting them is not about that they're just, completely, these particular seven, they completely outclass everyone. What it mainly is that you cannot battle them unless you have Dragon Slayer magic. And I was looking at the number thing because, and I don't take back what I said, but I was looking back at the number thing and, there's 7 and 7 and everything, and I was thinking, what if the dragons had some sort of exceed, like Chareru or Carla, whatever you want to call her, and they saw the future, and that's why they particularly had 7 Dragon Slayers made for 7 dragons. That's something that came to my mind when I was reading this, and it was like, okay, and also it shows that there's some sort of connection possibly with the Exceeds and the dragons, and all these worlds that collide. You got Edelos and whatnot where the Exceeds come from, but I was just thinking that there's a possibility that the one Exceed or some fortune teller, or maybe somebody even lived through this already and went back in time, saw all this coming and said, okay, we need 7 Dragon Slayers to defeat these dragons. Now, it kind of makes more sense that way, and it doesn't just like pull out, oh, 7, 7, 7, so it kind of makes more sense that way, and I kind of like to think that that's a big possibility because we've seen that Carla can see the future. Maybe there's somebody that they knew back in the day and Exceed that had mastered that technique and could clearly see destruction from dragons in the future, and they were like, okay, we need to prevent this, and that's why they made their 7 dragons. And it was crazy seeing that Sting and Rogue, we finally got to see that they did indeed kill dragons, but it was that the dragons was like, kill us so you can get stronger. It kind of makes more sense as well, because the timeline wouldn't fit for Sting and Rogue to have killed their dragons anyway, as far as like, they had to have been really, really little when they seen those dragons, because if you remember, 7 years ago, Natsu and them would have been, 7 years younger if they were older. So Sting and Rogue, 7 years ago, and then even before that, when the dragons were around, they had to have been really young. So they were like practically, what, I want to say 3, 4, 5 years old at the time when the dragons were around. So it makes kind of sense for them to have killed their dragons at the request of the dragons. Now, we got a little interesting note that we didn't know about, that apparently bathing in the blood of a dragon, which kind of sounds really dark, gives them more power and gives them the full abilities of a Dragon Slayer. So that was something that we didn't know, and I think that's a little bit more interesting. It's dark, definitely, and adds a little bit more to the mastering of the Dragon Slayers, because you got the blood on them, and it gives you this crazy power or whatever. I wonder if we're going to actually see these dragons at some given point. I'm assuming we are. I'm assuming we're going to see all of them. And I was thinking, what if, if the future telling, if there wasn't no Carla back then, I just had a crazy idea. What if Igneel is Natsu himself, and he experienced all this and went back in time to train himself when he was little? I was just thinking that's a big possibility as well. But this chapter, it had a lot of crazy things. First of all, you got Makarov trying again, and it was giving me little flashbacks to Tenrojima, and I love that shit, where Makarov was trying to fight the fire dragon, and it wasn't doing shit. It's interesting to see that the dragons are talking, because they can all talk, and we've heard that they can all talk, but to actually see it going down, it was kind of interesting, because, the Acnologia never said one word. To this day, prior to that, we've seen, like, thoughts between Igneel and them, but the only dragon to have actually talked with people was, I believe, Zakonis, when they brought Zakonis through that little portal or whatever, that little magic. So to actually see them talk and say, are you humans or whatever, that was kind of interesting as well. And ultimately, I thought this particular chapter was actually pretty good. I really enjoyed it. One thing that I was a little bit skeptical about is like Natsu out of nowhere hitting that one dragon. Is like, I'm hoping that is not just an onslaught, that 7 Dragon Slayers come up and just start like annihilating the dragons, because that's not what I want. I want at least a good fight or whatever. And ultimately, I just want to see how things go down. And one last thing I want to talk about, Cobra coming back. it makes sense. 7-7. It's probably like how everything was envisioned. Again, that like I'm saying, I think that they had an exceed, just like Carla. Maybe it was Carla's grandmother, maybe it was Carla's mom, or something of that nature that they had and they used in order to see the future, and that's how they saw what would happen. Or it might have not been Carla, family at all. It might have just been, an exceed that has the same ability as Carla, and they saw it all, and that's why Cobra is a key piece to the puzzle to fighting these dragons, because while Cobra might not be, well up there with like Loxus and all that shit, he still is a dragon slayer. And I believe he was a slayer of the poison, dragon poison slayer or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see him join in and actually help them out. I can't wait to see that. And Hero built some momentum right now. I'm really liking this. Like if it goes according to the way I said, then it makes more sense as well. Like they knew what was going to go down, or even so, whatever. At this point, I'm kind of over the number thing, whatever. I'm just looking forward to seeing some pretty cool battles and seeing how they're going to survive, because Makarov ain't doing shit against a dragon that is not even that big of a deal. Gray said it himself. They're not quite up to like where the Acnologia was. They're not on that like crazy level. And when Rogue said that it's going to take these 7 to beat Acnologia, and how Acnologia took over the entire world, that's crazy, because when we saw Levy writing the note in that, broken down place, that was from the Acnologia ruling overall. And I want to see really more of the connection Acnologia and Zerov. Is Zerov the Acnologia himself? Maybe, because, as soon as Zerov disappeared, that's when Acnologia appeared. If he is he him? I want to see if there's more connection, because we haven't actually seen it for ourselves, the two of them in one spot. So I'm interested to see that as well. But just to hear that Acnologia took over humanity, killed everyone, is freaking crazy. Where is Guild Arts? That's what I want to freaking know. I mean, he can't play much of a part, because I think what's going to happen is the Dragon Slayers are going to weaken them enough, possibly, so that regular attacks from like Makarov will affect them. That's what I think is going to happen. And if Guild Arts is there, we need you, Guild Arts. Quit trying to bag hoes and come back over here and help us out, because we need you at this time. And yeah, just pretty damn good chapter. I give it a 4 out of 5. I thought that was nicely structured. My only skepticism at the moment is that, Natsu hitting that dragon, but it's just to show that, we're coming back. We're not going to stop. We're not going to, be killed easily. We're going to go. It's not a coincidence. 7-7. It's not a coincidence, people. There was a card, I believe, back in the day that showed Igneel and all these dragons, and they came up with this plan. We need to create these 7 dragon slayers to fight them off. And hopefully this isn't the last arc, because it kind of felt like it. Like, the way Natsu was preaching, like, this day was, our powers were made for this day, for this battle. So I'm hoping that this isn't the end, because it could be. I'm just saying. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. First of all, what the hell? Do you think that they're going to be able to stop these 7 dragon slayers, or these 7 dragons, or are they going to need something else? Do you think that this is a possible end to Fairy Tail, and this is how it's going to all end off with everything? And also the Acnologia, do you think he's going to show up soon? Because I think it's a possibility that he will show up, maybe even Zerov. And I can't wait to see them all on the battlefield. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you can't wait to see all this go down, because I'm excited now. Now I'm excited. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.